I want you to picture something. You wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and the hair you have spent years, literally years, growing, caring for, protecting is gone. Not because you decided to cut it, not because you wanted a change, but because someone else made that call. For you, without asking. That was my life one random Tuesday morning. And this is the story of what I did about it. My name is Maya. And before I tell you what happened, you need to understand one thing about me. My hair was everything. I'm not being dramatic, I'm being literal. My hair was down to my knees, like actual knee-length hair. And I had been growing it since I was a little kid. It was thick, it was dark, it was healthy. When I walked, it moved behind me like something out of a shampoo commercial. I know that sounds extra, but I'm just telling you the truth. People would stop me, strangers, at the grocery store, at the mall, at school. "Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful. How long have you been growing it?" And I would just smile because honestly, I knew. I knew my hair was special. I took care of it like it was my job, oiling it every week, deep conditioning treatments, careful. Detangling from the ends up, never rough, never rushed. It took me 20 minutes just to comb it. Every morning, and I didn't mind, not even a little, because it was mine. It was the one thing that felt. So, the day before my cousin's wedding, I just needed a trim. That's it. Literally just the ends. Maybe 2 inches off, clean it up, so it would look perfect the next day in all the photos. My mom and I drove to the salon we always go to 10 minutes away. Easy, done. Except when we pulled up, the shutter was down, and there was a little handwritten sign taped to the door. "Closed today." I was annoyed, but okay. Fine. My mom looked up and down the street and spotted a barbershop a little further down the block, a men's barbershop, she said. "Let's just ask. Maybe they can do a quick trim." Honestly, I felt a little weird about it. I'd never been inside a men's barbershop before. But what was I going to do? Go to the wedding looking like I hadn't touched my hair in 6 months. So we walked in. The shop was small and simple. One big mirror taking up the whole wall. An old-school barber chair. The kind with the footrest and the cracked leather. A ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead. The whole place smelled like aftershave and hair product. The barber looked up when we walked in. Middle-aged guy, very polite. He nodded and said, "Yes, ma'am, how can I help?" My mom explained, just a trim for her daughter, their usual salon was closed. He looked at me. Gestured to the chair. I sat down. He took my hair in his hands, all of it, and started gently combing through it. My hair was so long it fell past the back of the chair and almost touched the floor. He was quiet for a minute, just combing. Slowly, carefully, and then he stopped. He leaned in and looked at my scalp closely. Then he looked at my mom and said, "Ma'am, she has quite a bit of dandruff buildup on the scalp. It's more than just surface level. If it's not treated properly, it could get a lot worse over time." I blinked. I had noticed a little flacking before, but I honestly never thought it was a big deal. My mom immediately goes into full concerned parent mode. She's asking questions. How bad is it? What does that mean? What do we do? And the barber, very calmly, very matter-of-factly, says, "Sometimes the most effective solution is a full head shave. It lets the scalp breathe, clears the build-up completely, and allows healthy regrowth." I felt my stomach drop. I said, immediately, no hesitation, "No, absolutely not. I just want a trim." I started to get up from the chair, and my mom put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Maya, sit down." I looked at her. I said, "Mom, please, these are my hair. I've been growing them my whole life. I'm not shaving my head the day before a wedding." She looked at me with that calm, final expression that moms have when the discussion is already over in their head, and she said to the barber, "Go ahead, do what needs to be done." I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe what was happening. I was 18 years old sitting in a chair while someone else decided what happened to my body, and there was nothing I could do about it. The barber worked quietly and carefully. First, he gathered my hair into 2 sections, one on each side, and tied them into ponytails. I watched him do it in the mirror, my hair hanging on both sides of my face, long and thick. I stared at myself. I remember thinking, this is the last time I'm going to see myself like this. He brought over a bowl of water and poured it slowly over my head. Cold water ran down my scalp and the back of my neck. My hair got heavy. Then he opened a drawer and took out a straight razor. Old school, the kind with the long blade that folds out. My heart was beating so fast. He placed the razor at the very center of my scalp, and in one long, smooth, slow stroke, he shaved a path straight down the middle of my head. I watched it happen in the mirror, a wide, bare line right through the center, where my hair had been a second ago. Nothing. I felt my eyes fill up with tears. I blinked them back. I wasn't going to cry. I refused. He kept going, stroke after stroke, each one deliberate and slow. My ponytails fell away. My hair dropped to the floor around the chair. Years of growth, on the ground. By the time he finished the first pass, most of my hair was gone. A few patches remained. He went over them carefully, clearing everything. Then he took a brush, lathered shaving foam across my entire scalp, cool, white foam covering everything, and ran the razor across one more time, smooth and close. When he wiped my head with the towel and said, "All done," I raised my hand slowly and touched my scalp, completely smooth, not a single strand. The fan was blowing, and I could feel the air directly on my skin for the first time in my entire life. I looked in the mirror, and I did not recognize myself. My mom looked at me and said, completely casually, "It'll grow back, Maya. It's just hair." Just hair. I didn't say a word on the drive home. My mom thought I was upset, and I was, but I was also thinking. She had made a decision about my body without asking me. She decided my comfort didn't matter. She decided what was best for me without me, and she was completely unbothered by it. So I decided she should know exactly how that feels. I waited 3 weeks. I let things go back to normal. I let her think I had moved on. Then one evening I came to her with a concerned look on my face. I said, "Mom, I was looking at your scalp today and I don't know. It looks a little dry, some flacking. Remember what the barber said about how these things can get worse if you ignore them." She reached up and touched her own head. Started to look a little worried. I said, "You should really get it checked. Better to deal with it now before it gets bad." She trusted me completely. Why wouldn't she? I was just looking out for her health, the way she had looked out for mine. I took her to the same barbershop, same street, same door. We walked in and she sat right down in that same chair, the old leather one with the footrest, without a second thought. While she was getting settled, I walked over to the barber quietly. I looked him in the eye, and I said, "Whatever you recommended for me last time, she needs the same thing." He looked at me, looked at her, and gave me a small nod. I walked back and stood by the wall, right where my mom had stood 3 weeks earlier. The moment the barber mentioned the word shave, my mom's head turned so fast. She looked at me in the mirror, eyes wide, and I held her gaze and gave her the exact same calm, unbothered expression she had given me. And I said, "It'll grow back, Mom. It's just hair." She opened her mouth, closed it, looked back at the mirror, and I watched the realization hit her all at once. She had walked right into it. To his credit, the barber was a professional. He did the whole thing cleanly and carefully. My mom sat very still and very quiet the entire time. When it was done and we walked out to the car, she didn't say anything for a long moment. Then she looked at me and said, "You planned that," I said. "You made a decision about my body without asking me. I thought you should understand what that feels like." She was quiet again, and then very slowly she started laughing, and I started laughing, and we sat in that parking lot, laughing for probably 5 minutes straight. She never fully admitted she was wrong, but she did stop making decisions for me after that. So I'll take it. Look, do I recommend this approach for every disagreement with your mom? Probably not, but was. There's something almost poetic about it. Absolutely. The thing that stuck with me most wasn't the revenge. It was the conversation afterward, because she finally understood, not from me explaining it, not from me arguing about it, but from feeling it. Herself, sometimes that's the only way. My hair grew back, by the way. Both of ours did. And now every time we pass that barbershop on the street, we just look at each other and laugh. If you've ever had someone make a decision about your body or your appearance without your consent, even with good intentions, drop it in the comments. I want to know how you handled it. Subscribe if you're new. I post every week, and I'll see you in the next one.